Hello, my name is Michelle Brady, and in this video, I will be discussing the 4 virtues that I believe are important for educators and how they contribute to creating a classroom environment that is inclusive for all students. The 4 virtues that I've chosen are responsibility, integrity, perseverance, and curiosity. With responsibility, it is my civic domain to be responsible, not just in my personal life, but in my career as an educator, and that I will be accountable for things that I do or decisions that I make. And I will also ensure that in my classroom, my students are aware that things that they do or say have consequences, and they need to accept responsibility for those actions that they do. I will model this sense of responsibility to my students by always being prepared, following through on my different commitments that I may have with them in and outside of the classroom, and by also accepting mistakes that I made and being willing to admit that I made a mistake. The second virtue that I chose was integrity. Integrity is having honesty in every situation and interaction that I'm a part of, and being consistent with people and in doing the right thing, basically. So this means always doing the right thing when no one is watching. That's having integrity, is always doing the right thing. Someone will know that they can come to you and you're always going to do what's right. And I want my students to understand integrity and have integrity in the classroom, because that means students can trust me and feel confident that no matter what happens, that they're all going to be treated fairly because of integrity. The third virtue is perseverance. That's being able to overcome any and all challenges that students may encounter throughout their time in school, even for me as an educator, that I might encounter, without being negative or coming at it negatively. I'm able to get over something. Even if it's tough, I want my students to have that don't give up, don't quit attitude. Just because something is tough doesn't mean you stop right there. It means you keep going until you can solve it or get over it to get to the next problem. The last virtue that I selected was curiosity. As an intellectual virtue, I'm always wanting to find out new information and views from other people. So if I create an environment in my classroom where my students are curious, then they're always going to want to ask questions and explore new ideas and new cultures. And that's going to have them also thinking deeply, using critical thinking to think about how interacting with those other cultures will influence them or can influence them in their day-to-day life. How I'm going to be creating an inclusive classroom is that I'm going to be taking each one of those different virtues and including it in a daily lesson until it becomes cemented in the students' minds, and they just do it automatically without me having to always talk to them about it. That means setting clear expectations from jump, not weeks down the line, but right away, making sure that those students know that there are clear expectations in the classroom, and that I will be holding them accountable when they aren't doing those expectations, and not holding them accountable in a way that's mean, but in a way that is going to be supportive while also teaching them. I'm going to make sure that each student is treated fairly, and that curiosity in the classroom is something to be respected and not looked down on, because we don't learn if we're not curious. As a educator, the virtues that I think are critical in my role, besides the ones that I mentioned, are also empathy, patience, and humility. Empathy is going to let me understand my students and what they need and their home life, because the home life does play a big part into how they act at school. Patience is going to make sure that I'm responding to the students in a loving and caring manner rather than in a dismissive manner. And humility is going to let me come at each student as an individual more so than as a whole. So right from the start, It seems fair to uphold the belief that societies are much better off with citizens who are both motivated and skilled at working together. Good collaborations are valuable for both everyday mundane practices. This is an excerpt from Kosonis from Educating for Collaboration, a Virtue Education Approach. And I really do agree with that, especially using those virtues within my role as an educator. According to Berkowitz and Baer from a 2004 publication, that character education has been demonstrated to be associated with academic motivation and aspirations, academic achievement, pro-social behavior, bonding to school, pro-social and democratic values, conflict resolution skills, moral reasoning, maturity, responsibility, respect, self-efficacy, self-control, self-esteem, social skills, and trust in and respect for teachers. This is important for character formation within the classroom, and that means that I am intentionally helping to develop those students' moral and intellectual virtues that's going to help them grow into responsible individuals. To help foster character formation, I plan to implement a few strategies. First, I would like character education to be in my lessons throughout the curriculum where I can, especially in social studies and science. With that, we would focus on having respect, integrity, and perseverance. Integrity or honesty and perseverance, because all three of those virtues will play a hand into developing their character. Then the second strategy I would like to do would be to show students how to resolve conflict with each other without it getting out of hand, and being able to understand how their words may have affected somebody else and how it made them feel, and have the students understand that speaking to each other with kindness in and outside of the classroom can help to avoid conflict, and it can help to resolve conflict. To further develop as a educator on character development, I found a few resources. Resources for multicultural classrooms. Teaching Tolerance is produced by the Southern Poverty Law Center. They're free lessons that help explore topics like race, ethnicity, gender equality, and sexual orientation with students. Another one I found was Awareness Activities at edchange.org. EdChange produced a multicultural pavilion. It's a wonderful assortment of resources for educators. The awareness activities that they have provide plenty of engaging ideas and activities to introduce diversity at the beginning of the school year. And another one I found was Teaching Diverse Learners with Brown University. This is a website, and the resources there are dedicated to enhancing the capacity of teachers to work effectively and equitably with English language learners, or ELLs. To kind of wrap this up, I believe that as educators, it is very important for us to not just teach our students the curriculum, but to also build their character and make sure that these virtues are instilled in them, so that way as they get older, they can pass it down to siblings or even their own friends. And then they can also be more well-rounded citizens as they become adults. Thank you for listening.